Daddy gang, picture this. You just got one of the most prestigious internships in the country and you feel like your career is about to take off. You're so excited to be working alongside your boss, who is without a doubt the most important person, and everyone loves and admires this man. One day, he starts to show you attention. He even begins to flirt with you, and one thing leads to another, and you guys end up in a full-blown secret relationship. For a while, everything's great. He's giving you gifts, he's making you feel special, and you confide in your coworker telling her everything about the relationship. But then one day, you're at the mall and the FBI surrounds you. They know about you and your boss's relationship because your coworker secretly recorded your conversations and turned them over to the FBI. They tell you if you don't cooperate, you will go to jail. Suddenly, every explicit detail of you and your married boss's relationship is released to the public. Next thing you know, your face is on the cover of every newspaper and every news channel is talking about you. They call you a slut and a whore. They criticize your body and they embarrass you every single day for decades to come. You're not allowed to talk to your friends about it. You can barely leave your house. Your name and reputation are completely ruined, and your life crumbles before your eyes. Daddy gang, this is a true story. This is Monica Lewinsky's story. When Monica Lewinsky was 22 years old, she was an intern at the White House, and she ended up in a 2-year relationship with her boss, the President of the United States, Bill Clinton. Their relationship was exposed to the public after Linda Tripp, a woman Monica trusted as a close friend, secretly recorded their phone calls and handed them over to the FBI. After that moment, Monica's life was changed forever. She became the sole focus of a massive investigation that resulted in Bill Clinton's impeachment and her very public downfall. Despite, and I want to emphasize this, despite the 27-year age gap and a clear abuse of power from the president, Monica was the one who was ripped apart in the media. Her name became synonymous with blowjobs, and she was relentlessly slut-shamed, body-shamed, and publicly humiliated for years. Daddy gang, unfortunately, as women, we are way too familiar with the double standards of how men get treated in this world versus how women get treated. While Bill Clinton still gets to embrace and enjoy his life in the public eye, Monica has spent years working through the lasting effects of this trauma. So now, it is Monica's turn to reclaim her name and share her side of the story.
What is up, Daddy Gang? It is your founding father, Alex Cooper, with Call Her Daddy.
Monica Lewinsky, welcome to Call Her Daddy.
Thank you. Thanks, Alex.
I am so happy we're finally meeting. It's been a long time coming. I've been looking forward to this conversation for a very, very long time. I think there's so much that we're going to talk about today that a lot of the women that listen to my show will be able to resonate with and also learn from. So thank you for taking the time. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm a little nervous. Yeah. I still get nervous with these kinds of things, but in general, I'm good. Yeah. I'm excited. It's a very busy. It's a time, as you know, launching a podcast. It's a lot more than I ever could have imagined.
That's what I was going to say. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You are launching this podcast, obviously.
Yep.
First, you survived being the face of a global scandal when you were 24 years old.
Yeah.
Now you're launching this podcast called Reclaiming with Monica Lewinsky. And basically you're discussing what it means to take back your name.
Yeah.
Why did you want to do this now?
Well, it kind of felt for me like it was the next step for my own reclaiming and my own experiences of having lost my narrative almost my life at 24, and what that journey or process has been like to come back, that in many ways that's in the bones of the show. I think this idea of losing something and getting it back.
Let's talk about it. Your life completely changed once the news broke of your relationship with President Clinton. Can you take me to the day?
Yeah.
The world finds out about this. You find out that the world knows. Where were you and how did you find out?
So just to reel it back a few days, I found out about the investigation several days before the rest of the world did. There was a sting operation that happened at a shopping mall. And then I was there was a Ritz-Carlton attached to the shopping mall. And I was in the hotel room, really realizing that what felt like my life was over. Certainly my life was going to change, and that I was threatened with jail and essentially told if I didn't cooperate and wear a wire that I would go to jail for 27 years. So, oh my God. And so I kind of saw this train starting to barrel down the tracks, and I really felt like the January 21st, opening the door. I was living in the Watergate apartment complex with my mom. And so I remember opening the door, and these were in the days where people would get a newspaper delivered. And in DC, it was always several, like the Post and the New York Times. And I remember seeing my name above the fold and in the investigation, and looking down the hall and seeing the exact same newspaper outside everybody else's door. And it was shocking. It was terrifying. And I didn't actually know how to process anything. And really it was a moment where life as I knew it was over.
Call Her Daddy is brought to you by T-Mobile. When it's time for a big, juicy gossip session with one of my friends, I need a reliable way to get all the tea. And by tea, I mean T-Mobile, okay? Having more 5G coverage means getting 5G signal more often. And as someone who is constantly on the go, it is so nice to have a reliable network that I can count on. Being a T-Mobile customer also means that I have access to a ton of perks like concert tickets, skipping lines at events, and free in-flight Wi-Fi, so I can keep posting from the sky. That free in-flight Wi-Fi has been key lately because we're trying to find my best friend Lauren a man on every flight we take, and I have to keep the Daddy Gang updated live with our progress. T-Mobile also has VIP Club Magenta lounges that offer free drinks for T-Mobile customers, and you guys know I can't say no to a free dirty martini. So, Daddy Gang, kick your old carrier to the curb. It is time to block their number. Then go and hit up T-Mobile when you're ready to really be taken care of. Check out the VIP treatment at tmobile.com/benefits. One, my heart just breaks for you because I'm thinking about myself when I was 24, and I'm thinking about all the women that are watching when you're 24 years old.
Yeah.
Like, your frontal lobe is still not fully developed.
100%.
You're in a situation that, like, how would you know how to respond that you're saying they're coming to you and saying, if you don't wear this wire, you're going to go to jail? Like, were you able to confide in at least, like, your mom? Like, did you have to hold all of this by yourself in that moment?
Well, I think the moment in the
hotel.
So in the hotel room, they wouldn't let me call anybody at first. So and I had a pager. So my mom kept paging me. And eventually I was like, look, if you don't let me call my mom, she's going to really start to worry. So they finally, they all huddled. There were a whole bunch of them, and they were in this connecting room to the hotel. And the room I was in, the connecting hotel room, had a whole bunch of other FBI agents in it, and lawyers from the independent counsel's office. And so they finally said, okay, you can call your mom. And these are in the days of, a handheld phone. So I'm holding the phone, and the agent had his finger over the hang up button. And so it was this, you just begin to understand subtly, maybe not so subtle, but the kind of nonverbal ways that you're starting to understand how much trouble you're in. When I had to go to the bathroom, they went in because there was a phone in the bathroom. They took the receiver out of the wall. So it was, but eventually I was allowed to go ask for my mom, because they wouldn't. There was a point where they all came in the room. This had been a few hours, and I had kind of refused to cooperate still at that point. And they sort of sent in the heavy. And at that point, it was the pressure tactics. And so I basically said, I can't make a decision unless I talk to my mom. So they finally let me call my mom. And then she came down from New York, and so I was waiting for her to come down. And then she called my dad, who was at a medical conference, and with his best friend, who was a malpractice attorney, which is how I ended up with a malpractice attorney as my first attorney.
There's a level of we can't fathom what, as a young woman, you were feeling in that pretty terrifying experience of all these people telling you what you needed to do. You don't have a chance to think for yourself.
I couldn't call a lawyer. I had asked to call a lawyer. Yeah. So from moment one, because I think we all, we all know from TV and the movies, right? Like when it happens in TV and the movies, the usually a man comes and flashes their badge. Yes. You're like, I'm not talking to you without my lawyer. And they said, well, that's fine, but you won't be able to get as much information and help yourself as much. And then I was actively discouraged from getting a lawyer. And I remember very distinctly the moment of it sinking in about what it would mean for this to come out and impact my family. So I had a younger brother in college. My dad's upstanding doctor in the community. My mom has her own world too, and my stepmom, and so that and the kind of shame and knowing that I had felt very responsible in that point too, because I knew I had talked about things that it was expected I would not have talked about them. Yeah. So
the media attention, there's paparazzi outside at all times. What were you doing every day? Were you going stir crazy?
Oh yeah. First I was obsessed with the case. I think too, just to paint a little bit of a landscape of what the media life was like, because we have a sense of how things are today with the, how we could get inundated with a story online with social media. Now there are 8 bajillion outlets. But what it meant back then was this story was actually, instead of a story having legs for a week, which is considered a long time in today's world, yes. It was a year. It was a year of coverage. In the first 10 days of the investigation, the Washington Post alone had published 127 articles. So that's 12 articles a day on just this story. So that was one news outlet, and this was global.
Can you explain initially, once this all broke, how right off the bat was the media portraying you?
Oh, I think for 5 seconds, it was sympathetic. And maybe after about a week, once the White House got in gear, I was very quickly painted as a stalker, a whore, mentally unstable, a bimbo, both the pursuer in this and also not attractive enough to be pursued. And and really there was a creation of a version of me that I didn't recognize, and my friends and family didn't recognize. And that's what happens when you have a power imbalance in a story where media is so integral to it unfolding.
I can't imagine the feeling of like for a second being like, well, I guess that's what happened. Oh my God, wait. That's not me. Why are they calling me a whore? Why are they calling me a slutter? How am I the pursuer? Like what? Can you explain how the name calling and the slut shaming slowly started to chip away at the way you felt about yourself?
Yeah. Well, I think I can't say this for everybody who gets involved in a relationship with someone who's, I'm trying to think of the right way to say it, but it's like, I think not everybody who has an affair feels this way, but I think a lot of people, especially young women who get involved in affairs, it already starts with a lack of self-esteem and self-worth. So I already had issues. It was this, it's kind of your worst nightmare of like all the worst things that you think about yourself and say to yourself, you then start to have reflected and amplified by the whole world. And so it was, if it hadn't been for my family continuing to remind me of my true self, and then eventually when I was able to have my friends come in, I don't think I would have been able to make it through. I think there were really sort of two parts of me. There was both this more damaged younger part of me who was soaking up all the negativity, and it was like a tsunami and just making a bad situation worse. And then there was maybe a future version of me, or a higher self or whatever, who was angry, who started to get angry. So there were times that I was angry or frustrated. I was so humiliated.
Once you got out of this isolation, essentially, I guess we could call it, right? How did people in your life treat you? And did you see a difference in the way that like men versus women treated you? Like, was there a difference?
I think what was interesting that I started to see in the public arena was that it very sadly, it was a lot of women who said worse things about me than the men. The men told a lot of jokes, right? So the late night hosts, I think when Jay Leno retired, some media, boop-de-boop, whatever organization, had done a study and listed the top 10 targets, his top 10 targets of his late night show. And I was on that list. And I was the only person who wasn't a public figure in this, these are, so it was, I think the men told the jokes, the women sort of eviscerated me. And look, also let's recognize that while there were so many ways that I think Bill's behavior was more reprehensible than mine, I did make mistakes. So I think we see it very differently now. And even through that lens, I still made mistakes. I still did things that were wrong.
I think I've recognized, and I think a lot of women can experience too, especially with media now, it's like, which we'll get to about the double standard, because yes, you made the mistake, but I feel like there's also a conversation online of just like, but the person within the marriage is the one that truly has the right and is supposed to be the loyal one. And I find that we are always crucifying the other woman. And then there's a level of complexity of there is a power imbalance of you are 22 and this man is 49. Yeah. So there's so much complexity of, it makes me sad for you that women tearing you down, I get it with an affair. I think it's a trigger point for a lot of women.
Yeah.
The way that they could identify whether they had been cheated on by their
Sure.
husbands. You know what I mean? Everyone's coming at it from the angle that they can personally relate to, or their fears or their insecurities. But the outbreak essentially from all these women towards you, in my opinion, like, it's devastating. Because now I think hopefully, like, do you feel a difference when women talk to you about it today versus back then?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I think that it really was the younger generation. When I wrote my first person essay for Vanity Fair in 2014, it was, your generation and the younger generations that really insisted on reevaluating this story, because you were all coming to it with just the facts, not having gone through the brainwashing or lived through that media lens, and bringing different perspectives that happen throughout generations, right? From generations. And so it was really interesting to have this front row seat to observe. In the very beginning of the article coming out, it was sort of the same voices saying the same thing. Oh, go away. You had your 15 minutes. And then it was the younger generation, the younger journalists, the younger women journalists who were starting to say, hold up. All the things that you just said about the power differentials on both from age and within the resources of both money and power and, kind of, people who work for you who are able to disseminate information. I had to, hire lawyers. I'd never done any of those things.
Call Her Daddy is brought to you by the original Peacock film, Bridget Jones' Mad About the Boy. You heard that right, Daddy Gang. Our girl Bridget is back for one last chapter. Renee Zellweger returns to her role as the iconic rom-com heroine that defined a genre. Now juggling 2 kids, going back to work, and the world of online dating, Bridget is just as endearing and hilarious as ever. Also, back are fan favorites like her best friend, Shazzer, Dr. Rawlings, and yes, Hugh Grant as the charming yet devious Daniel Cleaver. Of course, Bridget wouldn't be Bridget if she weren't once again caught between 2 hot love interests played by Leo Woodall and Chiwetel Ejiofor. So pour yourself a drink, don't forget the tissues, and make it a movie night with Bridget Jones' Mad About the Boy, streaming only on Peacock. The White House basically left you out to dry after the president made a public statement claiming he never had sexual relations with you. How did you feel having to watch that and hear him say that?
In the moment, I was split because I felt so guilty. I felt so guilty for everything. I felt like this having become public was my fault.
Why?
Because I had confided in Linda. And so if I had not confided in her, I felt as if this wouldn't have become public. And so there was an enormous amount of guilt. I didn't want him to lose his job. So there was a part of me that felt good, deny it. This is what you should do, that sort of a thing. And then there was a part of me that was so humiliated, and to kind of have the most powerful man in the world saying that, basically your damaged goods, like, is not something you want as a 51-year-old woman, and not something you want as a 24-year-old woman.
The White House, like you referenced earlier, tried to frame you as this like unstable stalker. But what the evidence then went on to reveal was the president called you often, gave you gifts. How did you, at the end of the day, during all this, reconcile what people were saying about your relationship and then what you knew to be true and what you lived with this person?
It was gaslighting. So I think that was what I experienced on a pretty large scale. Mm-hmm. And it was devastating. It was devastating at the time. And I think what we see now in today's world, and as a grown woman. I hate to break it to any 24-year-olds listening to this, because I know from 21 to 25, you think you know everything. You're like, I'm a fucking adult now. I know everything.
True.
I'm so sorry to tell you, you will look back on this time and be like, oh, little 20-year-old me.
Little girl.
No. So I thought it was something it wasn't. And my feelings were real. And it was very frustrating and painful to have people talking about this in a way that was untrue.
In the midst of all of this, we're talking about how you're reading things online about yourself. You're watching the news. They're calling you a whore and they're slut shaming you and they're calling you unstable and mentally unstable. And you're seeing all of this. Did you ever have a moment during all of this where you started to doubt yourself and you started to feel like you were going a little crazy?
Oh, 100%. I think that there were, right. That's the whole goal of gaslighting, right? So, I mean, I don't think the White House's intention was to gaslight me. I think the intention was to stay in power and to get out of legal jeopardy. But that's, I think that is the core of being gaslit, is you do start to doubt yourself.
I also think what I want to get into talking about too is like, as a young person, when you're going through something traumatic, your understanding of it in the moment is that, and then you're also somewhat in fight or flight and you're like trying to digest it in any capacity you can. And then as time goes on, you're able to, with time in a beautiful way, start to actually look at it a little bit more objectively as time goes on, because you're farther away from it. So I can imagine like the way that you felt about it in the moment, you now have different perspectives, and that's okay. And I think there's like a lot of shame of people who go through these traumatic moments in their life where people are like, well, how did you feel in that exact moment? You're like, I don't know. I need to process it. I need time to think. And I can imagine people asking you questions, paparazzi being outside. It's like,
oh yeah,
being up on a stand. It's like, you knew the truth, but you also had to protect your like mental sanity of like, I need time to heal and to digest the fact that I thought I was in this relationship. Now it's out to the world. What is happening?
Right.
Like, it's a lot.
Yeah.
What was your rock bottom moment in all of this?
Oh my gosh, there were many. It's interesting. In the moment, the rock bottom moment was probably, it was several months into the investigation, and I guess whatever the layering of whatever had come out in the news that day, whatever it was just too much. And I had remembered thinking, okay, I was able to, the first 2 weeks of the investigation, I didn't have a therapist. I couldn't go on medication. And eventually I was able to get a therapist who had to be a forensic psychologist, who was amazing, Dr. Susan. I'm still grateful to her today. And I remember thinking, like, okay, I'm going to call her. And if she answers, then I'm staying. And if she doesn't, I'm out. So I think for me, that was rock bottom. And that again, just kind of, the maelstrom of media and 24-hour news and the internet, the report coming out was the first time that you missed history being made if you didn't have access to the internet. Yeah. Like, Google had just launched, web traffic doubled overnight. Like, it's just, those are the kinds of things that we just can't even fathom now. Right. I mean, and this was all pre-social media, but all the news outlets had like www representation and comment sections and things like that. So that was, that was a moment where I think, I don't know, sorry, I'm babbling a bit,
no,
but
you're doing great.
I don't, I don't know if you ever had anything like this when you were growing up, but I had a couple of different moments in grade school where it was like, I did something embarrassing, and that feeling of like, I don't want to go to school. The whole class knows, the whole grade knows, everybody's going to this and that. And so that's one level of what we experience. Or if I'm at a dinner party and I don't drink anymore, but if I knocked over a glass of red wine on the white tablecloth, you're mortified in front of this group, and you're able to draw a mental perimeter around that. And what I experienced, and now why I care so much about anti-bullying with young people, because I understand what this is online and with social media. There is no border. And it literally feels like the entire world is laughing at you. And it is devastating.
I appreciate you explaining it like that, because I never thought about it. Like when you're in that restaurant and you spill the wine, you go home that night and you envision those exact faces at that table. And you're like, oh my God, I hope they forget this. I hope that but you have a visual.
Right.
And what you're describing, if anything, you have like the most real, horrific lived experience of what now so many kids are living online, which is this like unseen beast out there that is talking about you, that is taunting you, that is speaking about you, and they've never met you. Yeah. They don't know you. They don't know your character. They're just taking what they've seen, glimpses online. Like, didn't they even just like use your passport photo when they...
Oh my God, my work passport photo. Jesus, it was the worst.
But it's all manipulated. Right? Like, who wants their passport photo? No. But that's so media to train someone to believe something about yourself. Yeah. In those rock bottom moments that you just shared with me, like, having the weight of truly the world on you, of people talking about you, and you were contemplating, is it easier to just not be here? Yeah. What kept you going?
I call them moments of grace. And so I think if you have that moment of grace, and I don't know that beauty is the right word, but the beauty of having one moment of grace is that somewhere lodged in the back of your mind will always be that experience of having had that grace. You get through the moment and things get better. It doesn't always just continue better and better for the rest of your life. But once you've, and it's especially why I worry so much about young people, because they haven't had enough life experience to, like, now at 51, when something, bad happens and feels devastating, I have a whole folder of times that I've had fucked up thing happen. I'm devastated, whatever it is. And then it got better, and now I panic even less and less, which is amazing. I'm so grateful for that. So yeah, don't let young people listening, don't let anybody tell you it is not great to get older, because your 50s are fucking amazing. Yeah. You have a long time to get there, girl, but it's amazing to feel so comfortable with yourself.
Right. And to know what to expect, know how you react, know what upsets you, know what you can get through, like your threshold, you start to learn more and more.
I think really, and maybe women of older generations weren't able to do this, but at least how I feel is I know the operating manual to me. And that is one of the most empowering things I think anybody can have, but especially a woman.
It is so heartbreaking because you weren't the only one that participated in this relationship. Right. And yet you were the one who objectively took the hardest hit. Yeah. Did you ever enter the anger stage where you were like, fuck this?
Yeah, it took me a really long time. And like, I was not until 2010. So this 1998 to 2010, I would have moments of being angry, but I didn't realize how much I had lost until I came out of graduate school and I couldn't get a job. And that, and also I think at the point where I was, because I was in my early 30s. So now all of my friends have gotten married. Most of them have kids. Some of them are even like going on to their second marriages, second and third kids. And I have nothing, or that feeling of nothing. And, it very much was, that was the point when I realized how much had been taken from me.
To also be fair, and I think that's like a very normal answer, that anyone who has experienced a form of trauma would be like, I'm not going to say like dissociating, but in some capacity, you have to dissociate to keep moving. And then one day it just kind of hits you of your reality because you've gone through enough to get yourself back on your feet. And like you said, you graduate and then you're like, okay, I'm going to go get a job. This is normal. And then it's like, no, you can't get a job. When you say that though, Monica, like, what do you mean? Like, people were literally turning you down in job interviews?
Oh yeah. I mean, it was everything from, I wasn't even allowed to go interview certain places. Like a place would say, no, we don't, you can't even come interview, even though I was qualified to, because it was 2007 when I was job hunting. I was, and then Hillary was running in 2008. So there was this high likelihood that she would become president or could get the nomination. So I think at that point she was expected to get the nomination, but of course Barack Obama did. So at this period of time when I am job hunting, people were saying, well, could you get a letter of indemnity? I can never say this. I had Bell's palsy a few years ago. So sometimes, so sometimes some words are still a little hard for me, but asked me if I could get a letter of indemnification. If they hired me, because they relied on grants. And so they were worried that they would lose all their funding. So it was, there were a couple places that, were interested to hire me, but would be like, well, you'd be interacting with the media. So, I mean, it's just,
Was there ever a point that not that you should, but was there ever a point that you or anyone in your family thought of changing your name or your last name at all?
Yeah. I mean, I think that there was definitely a period of time that I contemplated it, except given the world we lived in, I couldn't even see a reality of that, right? Like, how is that really going to work, right? I'm going to walk down the street in LA where I was raised and run into someone and they'll say Monica and I'll, oh, my name is Rebecca now. I mean, like I didn't even know how that would work. Or people had suggested to me, well, you could put a different name on your CV. And I thought about that. But then, when you play that forward, so what, I'm going to walk into a job interview. The person in their head is like, that girl looks a lot like Monica Lewinsky. And, and they're looking at me and I'm looking at them. And, it's just, and then you're also starting out, it's sort of like part of why I haven't online dated is that whole thing of if you don't want to use your name, you're starting something out with a lie, so that doesn't totally feel right to me either. So but really more than just the practicality, I think as time went on, I also came to feel very strongly that I didn't want to change my name. Why should I have to change my name? I bet nobody has asked Bill if he needed, did he ever think about changing his, okay, I get because he was the most famous person in the world at a moment, but and president, etc. But just even the idea would never cross someone's mind to a man, and also too, I regret a lot of different decisions I've made, both prior to 98, post 98, like I'm a human being, but I'm not ashamed of who I am. And so I think that was a really important thing.
And I hope in me asking that, like, I don't think you should change your name, but hearing what you went through, I understand like there may be people around you being like, Monica, like to get a job, maybe change last name. Like that is, I interviewed Amanda Knox at one point, right? Yeah. And it's like, there is this horrible reality that you have to, which we're going to get to eventually, of like, you have to decide how you're going to live your life, and you can't just keep letting other people dictate it, even though it's pretty fucking hard, because you're saying, I'm walking in places and no one will hire me.
Yeah.
And it's like, because like, it's like, if in the grand scheme, how are you not getting a fucking job? You know what I mean? Like, you're a qualified.
Well, and I was so lucky that I came from an upper middle class family that could help support me, because I couldn't earn an income. But you really, when you're sitting inside a scandal like this, you really come to understand why a lot of times women make the choices they do, because those are the only fucking options they have, is to maybe pose nude in a magazine because you will get money and you can pay rent and put food on the table, And so it's
a great point.
You really come to understand choices people make and how hard it can be. I often think about that we don't examine and judge people by the things they don't do or the things they turn down, So
true.
I mean, yeah.
To add color for my audience, I just want to read this. You were 22 years old. He was 49. You were an intern. He was the president of the United States. There is a clear power imbalance that they never focused on in the media when all this was coming out. How aware were you of this power imbalance?
I don't think that was something we talked about, very much back then, in the same way that we didn't have words like slut shaming and fat shaming. I think this story became, it felt very bifurcated. It was like most Democrats, whether they believed him or not, were supportive. Most Republicans, whether they, were opposed. And it's that wasn't something that we talked about a lot. And I think that it was really in the wake of Me Too 2.0 that we really started to look at power imbalances under the umbrella of abuse of power.
Yeah. In 2014, you said the relationship was consensual. In 2018, you said you were just reevaluating how power dynamics impact consent. Now, today, where do you stand? Call Her Daddy is brought to you by Tinder. Dating app culture has gotten so complicated. I feel like every week I hear about a new app with new rules. It's time to just go back to our roots, you guys. Tinder is back, and it's easier than ever to put yourself out there. The OG dating app is here for whatever you're looking for: a partner, a date, just a booty call. I see you out there, and Tinder's got you covered. A new relationship starts on Tinder every 3 seconds. Every 3 seconds. You could have 3 boyfriends by now if you were swiping during this ad, okay? And if you do have 3 Tinder boyfriends right now, please report back to me. That sounds messy, and I want all the details. Let's put the fun back into dating apps. Dating isn't supposed to be stressful. Tinder gives you the freedom to meet people your way. So instead of overthinking an opening line, just go and shoot your shot. If you've been looking for a sign to simplify the dating game, this is it. Explore all the possibilities for yourself. Tinder, it starts with a swipe. Download Tinder today. In 2014, you said the relationship was consensual. In 2018, you said you were just reevaluating how power dynamics impact consent. Now, today, where do you stand?
It's really still, I kind of landed in the place that I landed in 2018, which was this sense of, I'm very clear this was not sexual assault. And therefore there's a level of consensuality that was there. And at the same time, because of the power dynamics and the power differential, I never should have fucking been in that position. And so that's where you just can't even, I think that you can't even understand what you're walking into. And that's where it's the responsibility of the person with more power. And that power can be age. It can be their job. It can be their financial resources. There could be myriad reasons that they have the tilt towards the power that way.
No, and I appreciate you saying that, because the reality is even when I'm going back and reading these headlines, it's
oh my
like
gosh.
the chaos of like that people believed, even the people writing it, that like you were this person coming, like he's the president of the United fucking States. Like
they're Secret Service.
Right,
like you can't just
sneaking through the halls and you're like going after him. Like it's so
like it doesn't work that way.
You know what I mean? And it's so that again, Monica, and why I appreciate you talking with me about this is I see it every day still in media, in different corners of social media, even where a woman is being pinned as something.
Yeah.
And when you are a woman that's had any form of what you're discussing and what I'm discussing of the slut shaming or the judgment or the double standard, it's so obvious as a woman where I'm like, no, there's just no fucking like, hold on.
Yeah.
He's the president and and I think in a gorgeous way, I hope that we're making some progress.
I think we have. I think I don't know that it would be as different as people think it would be if it were, with a young, charismatic, democratic president. But I think we have made some strides, just even in the fact that we have language, that we now have nomenclature for these kinds of things that allow for more nuanced conversations.
That's a good point. When you look back, once the news broke and how everything was handled by media and the White House, how do you think it should have been handled? Have you thought about that?
Oh my gosh. I think that he should have said, I'm like now thinking this through. I don't think I've answered this question before. But good question. I haven't been asked that before. So, I think that the right way to handle a situation like that would have been to probably say it was, nobody's business and to resign, or to find a way of staying in office that was not lying and not throwing a young person who is just starting out in the world under the bus. And at the same time, I'm hearing myself say that. And it's like, okay, but we're also talking about the most powerful office in the world, so I don't want to be naive either.
But I love that answer because you're being honest. You're like, as a human being, if we take a step back, that I agree with you. That is exactly how it should have been handled. It's the least they could have done for you, right? And not even for you, just for like
for anybody, right?
It was the truth, right? But then we're talking about the White House, and I think this is where it gets complicated because, like, at what cost are you just kind of thrown to the wolves to protect something larger?
I don't know.
I know we both don't have the answer. And I think it's okay.
Complicated, it's really complicated because you are talking about issues and situations where so many people are impacted. So I don't, and maybe this is a reflection of my generation or my age, but I don't know where the right balance is, because there was damage no matter what. I think there was so much collateral damage for women of my generation to watch a young woman to be pilloried on the world stage, to be torn apart, for my sexuality, for my mistakes, for my everything.
What you're saying though is, I hear what you're saying. It's like, this was such a large statement to the world about the way, and I get what you're saying. At the time, there wasn't this language, but the double standard, here's the fucking example right here.
Yeah.
Right what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Look what came from all of this for you and for then the other party. It's just, it's not.
The consequences were just nowhere, I lost my future. So, I mean, that was, that really was, I was lucky enough to hold on to a strand of my true self.
Yeah.
But I lost my future.
Yeah.
And so I'm so grateful for how my life has changed in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
But it wasn't, that certainly was not a given, you know.
You made many public apologies. Have you ever received one in return?
I have had a handful of people who were involved at the time that I've run into in different ways who have acknowledged that they wish they had made different choices. None of the people who were, you know, sort of the above the fold names involved in the investigation. And I'm really grateful that I'm at a place where I don't need it anymore.
Was there ever a time where you felt like you did?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Oh, sure. Well, I think that's, you know, and this is sort of something I don't know that I fully unpacked it yet for myself. You know, I think a lot of times with the writing I do, it's like I have an idea for something and I sort of plant the seed and just let it. I'm like, okay, in some version of me, it's like figuring itself out to worm its way out onto a page. But I think that a lot of that has to do with this, the intersection of, as my life changed, as people saw me more and more as my true self, as I was able to have more agency, that those things became less important because I was been able to, even though I will always be defined in some way by my history, I am also defined by my present. And it's important.
Oh, it's beautiful because I can imagine like the way that you're talking about being isolated and being trapped and not being able to speak to people for 8 months and the emotional trauma that can do to a human being. Like you said, you weren't prepared for any of this and it hit you in the face and you had to just run with it because you had no other option to survive.
Right.
And then you come out of this and it's like, how many times did you think like, wow, there is a potential this will stay with me for the rest of my life?
Well, I had a whole, I call it my dark decade. I mean, it was a whole period of floundering and having no purpose. I mean, I'm always lucky. My family's always been amazing. Yeah. I've always had friends, thank God.
You stepped away for about 10 years.
That was
the time.
Yeah.
Did you date at all?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So I have always dated, not always successfully dated.
Yeah.
And I was somebody who had wanted to get married and have kids. And I'm sort of past that point of having kids naturally. So that, I think that was a focus for a long time, but it was definitely, my dating life has been complicated, I think at times, you know.
In dating, when you were trying to get back to some form of normalcy, like did you find in moments that like men were kind of in it for the wrong reason?
I've had a couple instances like that. I mean, it's sort of this wide spectrum of, I think my bullshit detector for someone who was there for the wrong reason has been pretty strong, luckily. But then there have been, you know, there's a wide spectrum of like how intimacy goes after something like this. And it's, you know, it's like, I mean, thankfully no one's ever asked me to wear a beret in the bedroom, but you know, I mean, there have been, you know, it's complicated. Look, I think our comfort level and it might be generational, but I think comfort level of really feeling like you can own your own sexuality fully can be one layer that many of us go through when you add on the way I was sexualized and humiliated around sex. You know, it makes it more complicated, you know, so
I appreciate you sharing that though, because like I couldn't help but think, there was this massive focus on your sex life in your 20s.
Mm-hmm.
And I've even talked about it in the beginning days of my show. It was way more sexual and it was fun. But then I would go on dates and I was like, wait, no, like I think you have the wrong idea.
Or that's one part of me.
Yeah,
I know
that's
I mean, it's funny because what was amazing to me, I was thinking about coming in and sitting down with you, and it was like, oh, thanks to I think it was episode 3. I'm like, you took the mantle of blowjob queen. I cannot thank you enough. So it was,
oh my God.
What was it? The GG 9000
or the Gluck Gluck 9000 girl. But it's, I'm obsessed that you just said that. But that in itself is like, there's the reclaiming of as women to be like, I'm going to own it first before you can own it. But then you talking about, being slut shamed, like how did you start to trust people again? Like getting into a relationship with a man or going into a bedroom with a man that you think you trust.
It's, I think that the first handful of years, I was very self-conscious because of how I'd been sexualized and because as we were talking before of having the most powerful man, wag their finger and say I didn't have sex with that woman. And George Lakoff wrote this essay where he was talking about how I wrote about this a little in one of my articles, but how we see, because we haven't had a fucking woman president yet, but we see the male president as a father figure. This idea of the father of the country saying, right. And so I had concerns about that. And I think that there, again, as because of my own self-esteem issues already, I think that it impacted things. And I don't drink anymore. I mean, I have champagne on rare. I'm not sober. I just don't drink. So but I think that helped for a while. And then, I joke now, if I were still drinking, I'd probably have a lot more sex, right. But, because the moment in the night, the moment in the night was or I should say more casual sex, but that moment in the night where you're sort of going to lean into this thing, you start to get more self-conscious,
Yes. And you start to get more self-conscious and then you get in your head, and I get what you're saying, having a glass of wine, it relaxes you. But I see what you're saying. It's this is again, the smaller version of what you experienced when I think so many women can relate to, whether it's middle school or high school or college, and a guy runs around saying something about a hookup with you, whether it was true or a lie. I've had that happen to me where you're like, that's not true. And you're so embarrassed. Yeah. And a lot of those moments, I then would replay my exchanges with that person. And I don't know if you had this where you're self-consciously being made fun of. So then you're well, what did I do I make sense a little bit here? You're just replaying what did I do and what was I like? And as a woman, so much of our worth people put on us is our sexuality. Mm-hmm. So then to be publicly put down, you're oh my God. And as a 24-year-old woman, then it's what am I worth? And of course you're worth everything more than that. But at the time, your self-worth is well,
and I had a lot of, I had some sexual trauma from when I was younger that, we didn't have language for the kinds of things that, that happened. And so you don't even know that you're acting out, you don't even know, you can't even piece those things together. So it's, it is, but I've also been really lucky in, I haven't been super successful at a relationship. I haven't been successful at all at a relationship that goes the full distance. But I have been really lucky and dated some amazing men. And those men, each in their own way, have helped me find a piece of myself again,
Shame.
Oh,
Can we talk about that for all the young women listening?
yeah.
You have tackled it head on, quite literally. And it is something that I think every woman in our lifetime, we experience it in a way that men just will not understand.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk a little bit, if you have any advice on how to overcome shame as a woman when someone is putting you down, again, sexually, for not being enough,
Right.
Whatever it be?
I guess my brain's going in a few places,
Yeah.
but I guess the kind of good news and bad news is the good news is that those moments will dissipate, like that shame spear that stabs you, that wound will heal. The bad news is that we like keep dealing with shame in different ways throughout life.
Yeah.
And I think for me, the thing that is, I think of shame almost being like a bacteria in a petri dish. That it's like when you put it into this petri dish and it's all by itself, it just grows, but it's still alone. And that's the thing to know the most, is that almost everything anybody might feel shame about, somebody else is feeling the same thing. Like it doesn't necessarily mean you're not going to feel some shame, but for it to lessen a bit, in some ways. And it is, I wish, we get to a place in our world where women can just sort of like shirk the shame, and just, you can't even be shamed.
Yeah.
Because that's what we see with some men in the world, who are shameless.
Yeah.
And that's, it's complicated. It's something I still deal with, so less and less.
I want to just kind of conclude on the double standards.
Okay.
Any advice for women when it comes to navigating double standards in how we are treated versus men? I can only imagine the amount of women listening that have a workplace dynamic with a boss, or a relationship, or like you said, a financial situation. Like, do you have any advice?
I don't know how successful I have been in trying to navigate the double standards. I think in some ways my own reclaiming is trying to open a path or continue a path that not a lot of women have been able to go through before, which is to be a fallen woman and to rise. And so letting many other women know it doesn't, I'm not the one to say this. This is like a well-known quote of just, it doesn't matter how many times you fall down. It matters how many you get up. And so I think that's the most important thing. Yeah. So I'm sorry I don't have a better answer for you on that.
Monica, it's like the most honest answer you can give, because I have sat with so many people. I literally call my mom about it in moments where I'm frustrated. If I see something online or in my real personal life, like I grapple with it constantly, because I start conversations like this. Like, what do we do, Monica? Like, you experienced something on the biggest platform in the world. How do we change this? Because as much as I would like to say it wouldn't happen to another woman again, I do think it could happen to another woman again, looking at like what's going on in our world. And so I do think the reality, as upsetting as it is to say, is like, I don't think there is a solution yet.
Yeah.
Because
but we're working,
exactly.
And I think the thing that is so important about change, and it's one of the things I admire about you, and I'm so excited for you and grateful to you, is that you are pushing forward in a path in business and podcasts as a young woman, right up there with these men who are valuing what their contribution is in their podcast, and they're having that reflected to them and what they've sold them for. And you have done that, Alex. Like, I hope you take that in every day, because of you, other women are going to be able to have successful podcasts that they then move on to other places for
I can't,
you know what I mean?
No, I can't. First of all, I can't thank you enough for saying that, but I hope I feel the same way about you. The fact that you have chosen to sit here and continue to sit in front of cameras and speak about your experience, it like makes me emotional. It's like, there are so many women that look at you and it's like, if she can get through that, then I can get through this. And it's not that it should be your job to make people feel more seen and more hopeful, but it is so incredible that you haven't given up and that you didn't just go away and just decide to like pull back. Like, you kept your fucking name, Monica Lewinsky, and you're not going anywhere. And that's why I'm so excited for you. Podcasting is so incredible.
It's so hard.
It's so hard, but it's so
hard. It's so much harder than I thought.
Everyone will give you grace in the fact that you are going on to this new venture.
Okay.
I am so excited for you. I am going to give you my personal number and I'm here.
Okay.
If you need any advice.
Okay.
Okay. Last question.
Okay.
If you could go back.
Yeah.
And talk to your 22-year-old self, what would you tell her?
Do not go to Washington.
Monica, thank you so much for coming on Call Her Daddy.
Thank you, Alex. This was so lovely.
Experience the transformation. Mama,
Love believes all things. Love hopes all things.
Daddy Gang, I am so excited for today's guest. Are you ready? Sierra is here. She is a Grammy award-winning triple platinum musician. She's also an entrepreneur, cover model, fashion icon, wife, mother. I mean, goddamn, is there anything that she doesn't do? I cannot wait to sit down with her and get to know her today. I remember being so obsessed with her music when I was younger, fully had a dance routine to 1-2 Step. I still remember the choreography to this day. Maybe I will have to show her my dance moves. She like fully leaves and walks out. She's like, you're so bad. No, but in all honesty, you guys, if you think about it, in her 2-decade-long career, Sierra has seen ups and downs, but our girls always come out on top. And Daddy Gang, we're getting into it today. We are going to discuss toxic relationships, knowing your worth, leveling up in all aspects of life. This episode is going to be, I already know it, full of wisdom and advice and just things that are going to make you feel good, okay? So come hang out with me and Sierra. Sierra! This beat is, she's like, I'm not coming in now. Let's go!
What is up, Daddy Gang? It is your founding father, Alex Cooper, with Call Her Daddy.
Sierra, welcome to Call Her Daddy.
thank you for having me.
I am so happy you're here. First of all, congrats on your pregnancy.
Thank you.
Talk to me. How far along are you?
Oh my gosh. I don't say how far along I am because I'm kind of funny on marking the time.
Okay.
Because the most important wish is a healthy baby and desire.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like when you mark time, it kind of puts pressure on the time marker.
Totally.
But I am, the bump is bumping. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling a little, I would say big and slow, but you know, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling grateful.
So this is baby number 4.
Number 4.
Did you always want a big family?
I did. I'm an only child. So I think because of that, like I used to always beg my mom and dad for a brother or sister. I'm like, please, 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 can you have another baby? And they would be like, it's not happening. And then I kind of like being an only child as I got into my teens. I'm like, this actually works out. It's all about me. I like it.
Call Her Daddy is brought to you by Airbnb. Daddy Gang, I have so much travel coming up this summer, and the thought of being away from Bruce and Henry for long periods of time makes me unwell. I'm getting a rash just thinking about it, okay? So anytime I can, I choose to stay at an Airbnb. Not only does Airbnb allow me to bring my dogs, but it also ensures that I'll have the privacy to really unwind during a vacation. You're welcome, Matt. Every time I stay in a house on a trip, I feel like a local. I can stock up the house with groceries. I can explore neighborhood bars and get to know the city even better. Being able to cook a healthy meal or just sprawl out on the couch after a long travel day is truly such a game changer. So if you're looking ahead at your summer plans and you're like, ugh, I just want to go somewhere, but you don't really know where you want to go, check out their guest favorites. Airbnb compiles all of their guest favorite homes into one place so you can be inspired to book a cozy getaway, a hiking trip, or a weekend staycation somewhere with a hot tub. Whatever you're looking for, guest favorites can help you find it. Sometimes my priority is a house with a gym. Sometimes that's actually a lie. It's Matt's priority. For me, sometimes it's more about like having the perfect bed to rot in. Maybe it's a hot tub, whatever it be. It's all about balance. As you book your 2025 travel, my number one tip is to check out Airbnb first to find the perfect place to stay because your accommodation can really make or break the trip. I am such a big fan, and this year marks the 20th anniversary of your debut album, Goodies.
Yes, yes.
It is crazy to think that because it's like you've just done so much in your career, but to think back to those OG days, I'm wondering like, what does it make you feel when you know that people 20 years later are still so obsessed, so in love with the original hits?
Oh my goodness, I feel grateful. It's actually, this is the 19th year, the 20th year is coming up.
Okay.
Yeah, so, but knowing that I'm about to enter that year, I feel a heart full of gratitude. It makes me feel motivated, you know. It's so funny because it also just reminds you why you just keep on going, like why you don't stop, why you don't stop believing, and you stay committed to your vision. Because when I was young, I was like, I spoke so much into like the things that I saw happening for myself, and it's kind of crazy. Like I had a goal sheet. So my goal sheet, I was like 14 years old when I wrote it down before I got discovered. I had 3 goals. So the first goal was to get discovered. Okay. And I wrote on how I was going to get discovered. So I'm going to get talent shows and all this kind of stuff. And then my second goal was once I got discovered to sell 3 to 4 million albums. And I did 5, which was a blessing. So check off 1 and check off 2. And 3 was longevity. So it was broad, but I was still like envisioning like long-term success. So to know that having a vision as a young girl, dreaming big, and it actually happens, dude, it's kind of crazy because that's kind of the story of my life. Like I speak a lot of life into like a lot that happens to me, and I envision it before it happens, and it's crazy that we're sitting here almost 20 years in.
It's also crazy to hear you at 14 putting that goal list together. I'm like, what the fuck was I doing at 14? Like picking my nose and like getting on Accutane. I was like, oh shit. Like, damn, like were you always that ambitious, and were your parents like, go Sierra, or were they ever like, oh my God, slow down, like chill, you don't need to be doing all this at this young of an age?
Yeah, well, my mom and my dad were supportive. And I always say the one thing I can say I'm truly thankful for is that they allowed me to do what I wanted to do. Like they didn't stop me. My mom was more, you know, she had more reservations than my dad did about the music industry because she watched all those VH1 like True Story. I forget what they call the show. What was the show called? Do you remember?
Yeah, something like True Hollywood Story.
Something like that. We're
it never ends good. It's not.
Yeah, basically, it's like all the bad stuff. So you watch those shows and you're like, fuck. Yeah, it's a little scary. Like, is that what my daughter's getting into? My mom was thinking that way. So I think she was a little like, what's that music industry world about? But she still allowed me to do it. And she was super supportive. My mom and my dad my dad would travel late nights to the studio with me, sleep on the sofa while I'm recording in the booth, drive me back home, get ready for school. He was in it. They both were supportive. So, you know, I'm glad they let me do that, right? I'm glad they allowed me that opportunity, and I will never forget that for my babies. Yeah. Like, I gotta, like, let them pursue their dreams and what they're passionate about. So I've taken a note from that.
A couple notes from your parents.
Yeah, just
I love
few,
that.
just
a couple.
Yeah.
You've done so much in your career. When you reflect on your career, and I know this is kind of hard to answer, but, like, what is the most iconic moment in your mind of your career?
Oh, my goodness. That's hard.
I know.
You know, I will say I think Goodies was very special for me because it put me on the map. My first single was #1 for 8 weeks long. We were breaking records and all this cool stuff then, which was really amazing. And it was kind of that moment of like where my identity was established like right away, but it was clear on like who this girl was, like Sierra from Atlanta, Cece from Atlanta. But here to stay kind of energy, I feel. And I think even the imagery of things that we did, like the swimsuit with the jeans, and I wear my tall boxer boots. I mean, I couldn't go anywhere without the high top. High tops are still my thing to this day.
I love
But the
it.
boxer boots were like my jam. I needed my wrestling boots, actually.
Yeah, I feel like it was something that like everyone will always remember. Like it fashion wise, music wise, like as a woman, like it was just so iconic. I remember when it came out, I like still listen to it to this day. I remember making up also like, oh my God. And then when 1 2 Step came out and I was like making up the like most awkward dances, like with my friends thinking we're like hot shit. Like it wasn't hot, just to clarify, Sierra. It was not as hot as you.
I know it was cute.
No, okay. But I just think about you at that young age though. And I'm curious, like if you can take me back a little bit to like, what was life like? You're coming out with music, you're rising to fame, and you're only 18 years old. Like, what was your life like at that time?
So I was always super focused, super driven, you know, very, very headstrong.
Yeah.
You know, I remember when I was like put my vision together for the project, I'm like, I want to do like this, and I'm gonna do like that, and I'm gonna do this, and it's gonna be this. Like, and I was very clear on my vision. Like no one could tell me anything different. And I was very opinionated at a young age.
I relate in some ways to that of just being like so, like headstrong and like, I know what I'm doing. Like, I'm going to make it. I'm going to make this happen.
Yeah.
Sometimes I've experienced, though, you almost struggle to pause and be happy for yourself in a moment of like, oh shit, like I did this.
Yeah.
Do you have a moment in your career at that young age where you were able to stop and be like, oh damn, like I made it? Like that one I made it moment. Do you remember that?
I think maybe a small blip of that was winning a Grammy.
Oh, just a
That
little.
that was a very special moment for me because I'd always dreamt of something as like that's like the Super Bowl for music, right? It's like it doesn't get any higher than that award. So for me, that was super special and significant. But to be honest with you, my world was going so fast. So as you can imagine, it literally was like the first 10 songs in my career, whether it was my song or collaboration, they were all top 10, top 5, top 3 records or number 1 records. So I don't think I really allowed myself until a little bit later to stop and like really realize where I was. And I think you realize it even more when you have a challenge, when you face adversity. That's when you go, oh, you start to realize like, okay, exactly where things were. You know, and then when you're determined, you stay at it, you fight through it, you battle through your challenges, and you keep it moving, and you keep on staying on the track because that's all a part of it. But my true made it moment, though, I will say, if I could pick a moment where I'm like, oh, like was definitely winning a Grammy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are like, I hope that's my I made it moment where I win a Grammy. Here we go. Hearing you, obviously, like you're such a savvy businesswoman. And I'm just sitting here like thinking of you because your career started so young. Like what was the hardest business lesson that you had to learn early on?
Ooh, you got to leave your emotions at the door. Like, you know, there's a time and a place for sincerity and being emotional, especially as a woman. So I think early on I learned that, you know, I'm like in business, there's no gray. It's only black and white, right? So if you can, you know, find a way to manage your emotions, you know, it's game changing, because you also realize that a lot of people in our industry don't really care for your emotions. A lot of people don't really care in general. It's like, what can you do for me in this moment? What can you do for me in general? That's kind of the mentality from a lot of people, a lot of my experiences. And then when you know the good ones, you hold on to them and you value them. But I think being a young woman, being determined, you know, and all that good stuff, and having to like manage my stuff, like mind you, my parents weren't like, you know, navigating this world for me. I was a young girl, like hiring and firing and like everything. So the emotions I had to learn early, take them, leave them at the door.
Yeah.
Do
you think that like on a personal level, like how did you stay grounded while you're getting like famous and pictures and everything? Like where did you find your center core?
I'll be honest with you, I'm a spiritual girl, right? I think I think a lot of people know that. But so for me, my foundation was that I had faith. For me, I know who God and Jesus is. Like, that's important for me, right? Everybody has their thing. But I think that kind of helps to keep me like level set. The people around me, like to this day, I still call my boy Jasper, who I met when I was like 14 years old, recording my first song. Like, he was there in the booth with me. So mind you, that's 20 plus years of relationship. My best friend and makeup artist, who's been in my career since I was 16, my first professional shoot as a solo artist, actually my first professional shoot in general, she did that. So we're 20 plus years of friendship, and she's my matron of honor. My team, I stay pretty consistent. I try to keep it like, I'm a creature of habit. I think consistency is key, but I do believe having that consistent group of people and circle of people that I can trust and know they got my back. I think that was a big part that really helped me to stay like level-headed and to be able to reset or have a place to go to. Because I always say, I don't care how strong you are, I don't care how capable you are, you have to have somebody you can talk to. Like, that is so important, because the one thing that is very detrimental to a person is when you bottle stuff in and you don't have a place to go.
Yep.
So for me, I think having a place to go has always been a great thing for me, or someone I can trust and talk to. Even if it's just one person, like, everybody doesn't have to know your stuff, like, you know, but just one person. If you have one, you have enough for me personally. And then of course I pray and all that good stuff.
I appreciate you sharing that, because again, obviously most people that are going to listen, like, they can't relate to maybe some parts of your life, but that's some of the most relatable shit, is like making sure that you have good people around you, and actually people that you trust. And it doesn't have to be a lot of people, but I think if you don't have good people, you can lose your way, because if you're potentially hanging out with people that could sway you or you don't trust, and then you have trust issues. It's like making sure you know people are there for the right reasons, which sometimes you can't. You have to just trust
100%.
And sometimes you get screwed over.
100%. You got to have people that you know are going to be honest with you, that will, you know, hold you accountable. But it's also how do they hold themselves? Like, how do they live their lives too, right? You can't have the wrong people feeding you, like you said. Like, that's when it is dangerous, right? And one thing I have learned is that when you're vulnerable, that is the most crucial spot to listen to the right person. Because you can listen to the wrong person when you're vulnerable, and they can send you completely left, right? Like, that's the thing about life. It's like amazing how one decision can change your life for better or for worse. One decision, right? So who's feeding you when you're vulnerable? Like, that's so important.
You even see some celebrities, and you can tell, like, the people that maybe don't have people with the right intentions in their camp, because it's like, of course, like, you guys at some point can be just reduced to like an object of like, go here, go here, go here. We're all making money off of you. And at some point you have to decide, like, you're the one that keeps it all moving. So you have to advocate for yourself in some capacity, like keep those people that actually have the right intentions the right, like, they want the best for you. That's hard though.
It's hard. But you know, my thing is like, there's a line in the Bible, it talks about, what good is it for a man to gain the world and lose his soul? One of my greatest fears is to have a certain amount of success that's like the highest level, but to not know who I am. And I'm very, I'm very intentional about that, like making sure I'm checking myself too. Like, I got to check myself sometimes too. And it's like, I want to be incredibly successful, but I don't want it that much. I'm like lost in the end.
Right. 'Cause imagine it all comes down. We pray we all get to 80, 90. And you're like, I did it for all what I got. No one around me. I got nothing that I don't even know who the hell I am. I'm glad I got the Grammys and the awards and the albums, but like, and who am I?
Empty. That I'm so terrified of that. And I see it happen so often in my industry. Like, a lot of the greats that I respected and admired, a lot of their stories, like, it's not that beautiful story that you saw and why you fell in love with what they do. And I'm just like, man, like, that's not truly living to me. Like, it can't, the success of my life can also be based off of the materialistic stuff and the awards and all those great things. Like, that just can't be enough to fill my cup, because honestly, sometimes those things don't happen for you when you want them to happen anyways. Like, there's still things that I wish I, could do, or I'm hoping to do, and it may not happen. So I've got to make sure I have a level set and understanding of like, what is my definition of success? Right. When you're so young, you look so far ahead, like, and you should look far ahead and you should dream big, but you're like sometimes so honed in on like all these things that you have so much time to get to. And it's like, you got to have perspective, right? You got to like stay rooted within yourself and know who you are along the way, because you can lose yourself.
It's so true. And I appreciate you saying that, because it's like, I feel like right now, our culture is very like, go, go, go. You want more. We want the coolest fashion. We want money. We want success. We want the big cars and the houses and the cool things. And if you don't have it, then you're a loser and you're not as cool. It's like, there's just so much comparison right now. And especially for women, it's just like the aging aspect and like, we're not good enough if we don't get there's just so much. What is something that you learned in your 20s that you still carry with you to this day that you can share with us?
Patience. I really, that's one of my favorite words. Well, actually, perspective is one of my favorite words, but also patience. I would say patience is everything. Sometimes, like I say, you want things to happen at a certain marker for you, and they may not happen until you're 50 or 60 years old. You just don't know, right? So to me, you got to have patience in the process, like trust the timing that's meant for you. Things are going to happen for you when they're supposed to. Even for me, I have to remind myself when stuff is ugly, I'm like, this is a part of life, right? You're supposed to have a little bit of the ugly. Like I say, sometimes you have to go through the ugly to get to the pretty. Yeah. Right?
Even also you saying earlier, you were like, I didn't even stop in moments, because like when everything's going well, you just keep moving. And the hardest moments are the moments that you actually are hip checked with yourself to be like, whoa, first of all, so grateful for the good times. Yeah. Because this shit's rough right now. And you then gain that perspective. Yeah. I also think what you're saying about patience is really important too, especially with people in this young generation. I feel it, of like the patience of like, the comparison is, oh my God, that person got that job and I didn't get the job, or I didn't get the thing I wanted. And it's like, we're comparing ourselves to the person around us or our friends around us. Yeah. Everything moves at a different pace. Yeah, it does. And the reason you didn't get that job is for a reason, because you're going to get another thing. I'm trying
to tell you.
It's hard.
Yeah. And sometimes too, things look pretty on the outside, but you don't know what somebody's going through when you're like looking at what they have going and you want what they have. Girl, you don't know what they're going through.
No clue.
Right? So it's like, you got to trust your own timing. Like, it's so much better that way. Like, do you know what's crazy for me is I remember like in the days of me, being signed to traditional labels, and I would look up and I watch other artists. Like, I've been around the block for like a long time, but she just come in and she like looking like she rolling 2 times faster than what I just like, and I'm busting my butt. Like, I'm like, I know I work harder than she works. Like, I know she ain't showing up how I show. And it looks like the world is just going so taken off of them. It's like, you know what? Like, that's for them. Like, and celebrate it too. Actually, I think there's something really good about celebrating the success of others, because when it's your time, it's going to happen for you. Things take time.
Yeah.
Right?
It's so true. And it's also like you said, like if someone pops off so fast and it's so different, like we don't know what they're going through. Maybe they're also really struggling. Like, who the hell has popped off so fast and been like, mental health is at 100? Like, it's not a thing.
It gets crazy. And sometimes too, I think when you go so fast in the beginning, you don't have much to look forward to, or you don't appreciate it. Like, I appreciate every step of the way for myself because of what I've gone through. Facts. And I know for a fact I wouldn't have appreciated if I had everything given to me, the world given to me when I wanted it, when I wanted it, basically. Yep. And it's like me telling my kids, like, you can't have everything can you imagine how crazy the world would be if we had everything we wanted when we wanted it? Like, that would be nuts. Like,
we'd all be miserable.
Crazy. Like crazy. Like, we be running around like crazy town. People. All of it. I'm telling you, everybody be lost. Like, like losing it too.
So true.
So there's something to like, the struggle. There's something to adversity. There's something to getting knocked down and getting back up. There's something to like all of that good stuff, right? Yeah. And just like trust the process. Like, if it's meant for you, it's going to happen for you when it's supposed to, how it's supposed to, and it's going to be so great.
It is kind of about the process of like letting things play out. Then you appreciate it more. You have more understanding of who you are as a human being. When you go through more shit, like you come out on top because you have learned experiences rather than just getting it all. You're like, oh, this was easy.
Yes.
Speaking of relationships, I want to talk to you about love and relationships. Obviously, you're married to Russell Wilson, the Denver Broncos quarterback. We love that for you. It's so cute to see. Like, it seems like you guys have such a healthy and loving relationship. I see online people commenting like, Sierra, like, where do I find my Russell? Like, where do I find like my couple goals? And obviously, in order to get to a healthy relationship, you got to go through things before you get to that point. And I want to talk to you a little bit about growing and learning and how you got to where you are now. Around the time that you met Russell, you were going through a really public and what looked like painful breakup. And I think about like leaving a relationship is so hard to make that decision, especially I'm assuming when you have a child. How did you know for yourself it was time to leave?
Oh my goodness. When you know you're supposed to make a super defined decision in your life, you know it from like the head to your feet, from your feet to your head, and your soul and your body, you know it. And it's almost like your taste buds change, right? You have a taste bud for a certain kind of thing, and then the taste buds just go. You got to sometimes also look in the mirror and reflect on yourself too, right? Like, okay, what are things that I could be doing differently in my life, or you know, what's a part of what I'm looking for a change, but what does that mean? So you have to kind of define everything about making changes in your life that are very critical. And you know, I've talked about it before, obviously when you have a child, it's very important to me. Like now it's no time to play around. Like the whole like experimentation kind of phase is out the door. It's like I am now responsible for another life. Right? So what am I doing? Like, how am I thinking that through? So, you know, and then when you tired, you tired. You know, and so we get tired and we don't want to be tired all the time. Like, you know, I'm like, I want joy. I want to make sure my cup is full. Like, how am I living my life? Like I always say, don't let nobody waste your time. Like that's one thing, like we talk about, like, you know, life and the trajectory of life and what, you know, it's like, I don't care if it's a relationship or friendship, business, whatever it is, like don't let it waste your time. It's just not worth it. Yeah. Right. So yeah, I mean, those are things that come to my mind, how I process when I'm making a pivotal, there's a pivotal moment in my life and in any aspect of my life.
When you hear people talk about it, it does seem like, oh, that's so simple. But when you're in it, it is like, it's really hard to collect yourself when you're trying to leave something and you're like, you're so used to something, even if it's toxic. Like I have women write into me, Sierra, that are like, the fear of being alone sometimes is worse than the fear of staying in something toxic. Yeah. And I wonder like what advice you have, because it's like,
the thing is that what you do learn is toxicity it can kill you. Like toxicity, putting toxic things into your body is not good. It's not like, so I think it's like we have to be real with ourselves, right? It's like, what do you want out of life for yourself? You have to be a little selfish in your thought process, and whatever's around you needs to align with that, right? Like, you know, that's important. Like, but that whole like the toxic, like, is like, there's nothing fun about, you know, being confused all the time, or someone taking you on like the ring around. Like that's not fun.
It's not fun. No. And I feel like from my personal experience, like I've been in some toxic relationships where it almost, you can normalize it. Like when you're in it for long enough, and I like that you spoke about it, like there is a moment, and I pray for a lot of women listening, like you catch that moment before it gets really detrimental to your own health. But like there's that moment, you know, but for a while you can like have full blinders on and just not see it because it becomes so normalized. I'm wondering, like when you were younger, like what is something that you now recognize is a red flag, but at the time you would either like ignore or maybe like turn away from?
Well, yeah, it's like, how is a person talking to you? How do they treat others? How do they, what, you know, you do ignore a lot of stuff, like when you just want to see what you want to see. But again, when you start thinking holistically, it's like, you know, no one's going to be perfect, but you do want the one that's perfect for you. Like, and how many boxes can they check off for you that fits like what your desire is? And it should be both ways, right? Me and Russ, we always talk about being equally yoked. Like for us from day one, like honestly, I think it was a, you know, healthy place. And I thank God, because we always saw, we kind of saw a lot of things the same way. So I think that's more than half the battle when you're kind of aligned. Yeah, it's definitely like how someone talks to you. What's their track record? Girl, what's their track record? And sometimes too, like, listen, you know, you see things how you see them. Like sometimes you do overlook things because of your perspective of, and again, it's like you're trying to see things like the glass half full, like you're trying to see it from a positive lens. But again, like what's a person doing? I think more than anything, it's like they can tell you everything. A person can be like, oh, I've changed and I'm doing da. And I've heard those stories before. Of course. I've heard that song before. But what are they doing? Right? And I think sometimes you tend to put the words before the actions. Right? You listen more versus like just watching, like, how are they showing up or not showing up? Like, and then sometimes you don't realize, like, they're telling you, it's like they're telling you the same thing in a different way. It's like, well, wait a minute. What you told me last time, you told me the same thing again, and you're doing the same thing again. Okay. So like, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. And
I love what you said about you and Russell. Is like, we're very similar in the way that we think and what we like and what we believe in. And like, of course, everyone's different, but when you find yourself trying to make something work so hard and you're the one that's constantly forgiving or coming back, full stop. Like, red flag.
Yeah, for sure. It's like, it takes two. You know, and like, how are you showing up? Like, you ain't showing up. So I ain't showing up either. I'm actually going, I'm out. Like, I ain't showing up and I'm cool. Like, you ain't gonna exhaust me to the, because honestly, you can lose yourself in those moments. Like, and like I said, it's one of my greatest fears. And I've been there before. I'm looking at someone, I'm like, you ain't gonna waste my life. I'm sorry, like, that's not an option. Like,
it's so scary though, right?
It is scary, but you know, you gotta like put your foot down for what you want and what you deserve.
All the girlies are taking notes right now. They're like, fuck yes, Ciara. Like, yes. But
don't be afraid.
No, you're right. Don't be afraid of, like, the best part is leaving. The best part is getting out. The best part is finding yourself without that person. And obviously you now are in such a healthy relationship, it looks, and I'm so happy for you. Just like, even when you talk about him, I can just tell, like, like, you're happy. And so I also wonder, like, when you go into a healthy relationship, I think sometimes it's so annoying, but like, sometimes we can't help but bring our baggage and our habits from our past relationships that we've had in our life. Like, was there anything that you had to unlearn essentially when you got into your relationship with Russell?
Leave it at the door. Leave it at the door. That, I think that's so important for yourself and your own sanity, but it's also not fair to your partner to bring old baggage that is from the past, because then I think you don't give yourself an opportunity to fully be in that love and be engulfed in that love and to create something fresh for yourself. Before Russ came into my life, like, I didn't think he was gonna come into my life that fast, to be honest with you. But before he came into my life, the place that I was at mentally when I decided, like, you know, I'm desiring something different, and I was clear on, like, I was very intentional in that phase of my life, and obviously you have my baby in my life, my firstborn. You know, I took that moment for myself, because I think sometimes too, like, if we go back to back, you know, in relationships, you also aren't having a chance to like make peace with yourself and to really like tap into you in a way that you maybe don't know you need to, but you need to sometimes pause, like take a break and just like love on yourself, reset, get clarity. You know, the past is the past. Where you want to, and really truly look ahead, like, and be clear and intentional with that. So I think I will say the moment before Russ came into my life, I said I thought I was going to be single for like 4 years at least. I was like, I'm not doing this. No. I'm tired. Like, I'm tired. Like, I'm like, it's what's going on. And it's self-reflecting. It's everything going on, right? So I had like to go through that phase and that process and that journey, you know. And so in that moment when you're resetting, the things that are of the past they're starting to become of the past to you, right? So it's like you're already clearing up your mind just in general for yourself, like not even for someone to come into my life, but just me doing this self-cleanse thing I need to do with myself, like really find myself, like, who am I? Like, what's this woman want to feel like when she walks throughout the world? Like, what does she talk like? What does she think like? Like, I mean, all these things that are about myself. I'm like, this is what I need for me, right? And then of course, like, who's going to be in her life? Like, I'm thinking about these things and I'm like, I mean, my mind is as vivid as it can be. And like, he's going to be a man of God. Like, he's going to love kids because I have a child now. I'm like, he's going to love to like travel the world. Like, I mean, all these things, like I'm envisioning it so much that I can taste. So we talk about those taste buds. That taste bud starts to have a palate that's all, it's like fit for all that stuff. So I'm thinking that way, you know, already.
Yeah.
So when I see it, I know it. And when I saw my honey, my husband, like, I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah.
Never. I haven't talked to anyone like that. Like, I haven't felt anything like that. But I felt everything that I said. Like, I'm almost gonna cry. Our hormones. But maybe it's not our hormones. But but I could like see, like, it was exactly what I was saying right in front of me. Like, it's crazy. Oh my God. Like, crazy.
How? When did you meet him? Like, what was the situation? How did you meet? In our hectic, fast-paced lives, we could use some slowing down. Haagen-Dazs is made to be savored and enjoyed slowly. Introducing new Haagen-Dazs Belgian waffle cones, a completely new experience that's worth slowing down for. Daddy Gang, you've never had cones like this before, okay? They'll take crunch to a whole new level. Each crispy waffle cone is filled with the velvety smooth ice cream that Haagen-Dazs is known and loved for. Then it's finished with delicious toppings and a decadent bite of sauce waiting for you at the bottom of the cone, okay? Haagen-Dazs Belgian waffle cones come in 4 delicious flavors: vanilla salted caramel, summer berry, triple chocolate fudge, and toasted almond fudge. Boom. Sign me up. You guys know that I have the most hectic days at the office. So when I get home, I love to grab a little treat, toss my phone away, and take a minute to myself. These cones are a must-have in my freezer. I'm obsessed with the summer berry flavor. It's fruity and it's sweet. And seriously, it always hits the spot. It's the perfect way to end a long, stressful day. Ice cream just always hits the spot for me. And these Haagen-Dazs cones are truly the perfect treat. Savor your moment of slow with new Haagen-Dazs Belgian waffle cones available at retailers nationwide. When did you meet him? Like, what was the situation? How did you meet?
We met, when did we meet? What year was this? 2015.
Okay.
We met in 2015.
Okay. Where were you?
We were actually in California.
Okay.
And the crazy thing is we started talking early at first. We were chatting a little bit, and then we had our first in-person meeting. Before we met in person, we were chatting a little bit. And when he met in person, it was the craziest thing because I was trying to make sure I'm doing this right, because mind you, I hadn't met a guy at this point. I hadn't talked to a guy or anything at this point. So I'm like, this is like, you know, it's a guy in general. And he was like, well, because I'm like, well, when we were meeting, I'm like, I also was looking at it from a friendship perspective, you know.
Sierra.
I'm just saying, like, you know, the build up before you get there. He was like, what friendship? He's like, I want looking for no friend, you know. So we joke about that.
I love it.
Because I want to be like really like
best
intentional
buds
and like
get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, what you talking about? I mean, but he was cute though, you know. But you know, we gonna go on phases kind of thing.
Right.
But when we met in person, the first time in person we talked was actually at my place.
Oh.
And you know, it was kind of but it was the best thing for the both of us, we felt, because even though we were, you know, meeting as friends and all that stuff, even though we're doing that,
it's not a
you
date.
know, my son was there and my dad was there. So see the friendship perspective.
Oh yeah, you really were like, he's probably like, oh my God, I'm meeting the dad. And you're like, no, you're just a homie.
No. We actually talked about it, and you know, what did he say to me? He was like, well, I'm gonna have to meet him anyways. Like, Wes was very like,
I love it, confident.
Like, very. So I'm like, you know, so we meet, and again, that's not like a traditional way. I'm not telling someone to do that.
Yeah.
But because it's he and I, you know, you're public figures in our world, unfortunately, oftentimes I think if you put the cart before the horse before you are officially together, the world puts this pressure on you, and it's just become something else that it kind of like gets in the way of what, you know, the true thing is that's there could be. So we just were being private, basically. We were going to go out to eat dinner, and then we kind of like, let's keep it in.
What did you guys do?
So we just talked, and we were supposed to have dinner. Food was like, belly was like content. Even though it was hungry, it was content. Like, you know, because we were like talking and talking and talking, and it was crazy. Everything that we talked about, like we were aligned on, like, and I'm not gonna lie to you. There was one point in time we were talking and he was talking to me and I wasn't hearing nothing he was saying because I was like, he's so beautiful. Like, I'm looking at him, I'm like, he's like gorgeous. Like, cause I didn't look him up. I didn't want to know anything about like him before we met.
Right.
So I'm just like, wow. Yeah, no, I was literally just sitting there, like he's talking. I'm like,
You're like, oh wait, but just friends, just friends.
No,
Shit.
but the words are going like this, whew, over my head, and so yes,
He's like, do you agree? You're like, part.
What'd you say?
I love that for sure.
I mean, I'm hearing what he's saying. I'm in the conversation, but I can't remember all that we were saying. You know, so
he's looking great.
It was nice. So we just sat and talked, and I knew, and I said this the other day when I was talking to him, I was like, this is something different. I knew like that I'd never felt what I felt in that moment. I knew this was a different man that I was talking to than, you know, I just knew, like, it was different. Like, so much to the point that I called Yoli, my best friend. I called her after and I said, Yoli, I was like, I don't want to jinx anything. I was like, but I think he's, and she goes, the one. And I go, yes. Like, I never said that in my life. Never said that in my life. So
It was meant to be.
Without a doubt.
But
without a doubt.
What was it about him that really impressed you that day?
It was, you know what, his conversation, how he talked about life. It's also a feeling too. You know, it's kind of hard to put in words, but I know what I'm talking to. Like I said, those taste buds are activated. Like I'm talking to like everything that I had on the palate was like it was stimulated. It was like clear. Like you know, and so I just knew, like, even how he talked to my dad, you know, and my son was like moving around, and at some point in time, like he's holding him. Like, there was actually this funny thing. Y'all think we ever told about this, but where there's this chair that's like in my kitchen, and the chair is like about to fall over, and Future is literally, my son he's right there, and literally Russ like slides in the socks, catches the chair. It honestly, no, this may sound dramatic, but no lie, he slides over, catches the chair, and I'm like, okay. Okay, Superman, we got a Superman in a bit. I was like, no, but you know,
you're literally sitting there like,
no, it was just everything. No,
it was
everything
good.
About everything. Like, there wasn't one thing that wasn't something. Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
I know what you're saying too, and I think it's important because obviously, like you said, which I love that you're explaining, after a breakup of what you know you don't want anymore, and you have that moment within yourself, you quickly align of like, whoa, I got to get my shit together. Like, I didn't like how I felt. I didn't like this, or I liked this and I want to bring this into my next relationship, whatever it is. But then when you meet that person, especially when you've had maybe not like the healthiest of relationships before, it's a feeling of like, you still have those like giddy butterflies, like we said, like you're drooling in the corner, but it's you, there's a sense of like calmness. And I remember I felt it with my fiance, because it was like, it keeps me on my toes, and it's so exciting, but it's like safe and calm, and I'm not insecure, and I'm not like, there's still that feeling of like, oh, you want to impress them and have fun, but it's a different level of connection where you feel like you've known them for a long time. You know what I mean?
It is
like, there's something there that you're like, whoa, like your souls almost, this is like corny, but like, it's like almost like you knew you were supposed to meet.
No, 100%. Right? No. 100%. Like, because that's what, and also too, like, and I think I've said this, but just in case, it's like literally the conversation we're having is so aligned. Like, you're going back and forth, and then you're going like, yes, like everything you're saying is like a fiery kind of feeling to it, because you're like almost talking to yourself a little bit. Right. But there's something you made me think about. Hold on, wait, let me see. Oh, but the giddy thing, right? What's so amazing, and I feel so blessed, because now we are in year 7 of marriage, 8 years of being together. 4th baby on the way.
Love it.
No, is that I still get the giddy feeling. I think it's so important. We always talk about that, right? Is that you still want to, like Russ always says, you know, I believe his dad would say to him, like, you got to always compete. Or it's kind of one of his things that he came up with, but you got to always compete. So it is that thing where it's like, even though you do build a comfort over time. You still want to like, you still want to make sure you keep it like cute. You want to keep it sexy. You want to keep it spicy. You want to keep it fun. Like we do date nights every Friday.
Oh,
because in football, that's the off day. So we do date nights every Friday, and we stay committed to that. And we like look forward. It's something I look forward to. And the fires, they burn, like, and you still feel like dating all over. The other night we played at Uno at dinner, and I was like, and I said, babe, can we take the Uno cards? And he was like, yeah, we take, and he played Uno, but it's the little things. Right. Like, and I was like, I had so much, I literally told him the next morning, I'm like, I had so much fun. Like, that's so good. So I think it's like, it's all that, it's like, do you have someone in your life that's also down to try new things with you? Like, do they accept you at your lowest of your low points, right? Like every day is not perfect. Yeah. Like I've had moments where I look up, and I'm going through a challenging time, and he's the only person I can look to in that moment. And he always has the right words to say. Like, all those things are important too. Like, how does a person speak to you when you're at your low, right? In your relationship, because that's key. Like, it's really you too. Like,
so true.
When it's all said and done, like it's you too, and you have your kids, of course, too. But like,
it's the two of you.
Yeah.
Even hearing you too, like when he came over, it wasn't just you. Like you had a son, like you have a son. You're like, you're bringing someone into your life that now is not just going to be a relationship with yourself. You need to also have a relationship with my son. Like, how did he take on being a stepfather?
Oh, he jumped right in. Wow. Changing the diapers right away, no hesitation. He's an amazing father. Like watching him with all of our kids is like, it is one of the sweetest things. It's one of the sexiest things, to be honest with you. I'm just saying, ladies, when a man jumps in and changes the diapers and he be pulling up to the teacher parent conferences and he be, it's like, ooh. He surprised Cece at the dentist the other day, and she was like, Daddy. And I was like, Daddy. I would say the same thing too.
Like, Daddy at the dentist?
Like, yeah. I'm like, okay, but that's what you want. Like,
it's so good.
That feels good, It's
so
like
good.
It feels good when there's something about a man turning on that part of them. Like, they're manning for you. They're being a man for you, but they're also being a man for your family.
Yeah.
Like, there's no better feeling than knowing that when we all look up. And if we look at him, like he's got us. Like, I know he's gonna wrap his arms around me and my babies fully. Like, there's no depth that he won't go to for us, or to make sure things are like right for us. Like that it's kind of hard to put that in words, but that feels good.
Call Her Daddy is brought to you by Neutrogena. Summer is here and the sun is shining. You need powerful sun protection that feels light on your skin. Meet Neutrogena Ultra Sheer Sunscreen. This SPF 70 lotion absorbs fast with a smooth, dry touch finish, so you'll forget you're even wearing it. It blocks 97% of burning UV rays and is water resistant for up to 80 minutes. Lightweight, effective, and perfect for sunny days. It's just what your summer needs. Neutrogena Ultra Sheer Sunscreen. You can't feel. Shop now at Target. We gotta know, Sierra. What is your favorite part about being married to a professional athlete?
Oh, gosh. It's crazy. I loved football before he came into my life. Like, I'm a tomboy, so I watched the game with my dad growing up. But, I think I say that because I think that I really enjoy the journey with him. I enjoy the highs and the lows with him. I enjoy his competitive nature. Like, I really respect it. Like, one thing about Russ is, like, when it comes to football, he is so dedicated to football. It's like football and family. Like, he's really dedicated to his game, and I really admire that. So obviously doing what I do, I feel like I get so much of a motivational dose, like, every day on his journey and what I do. Like, I get really inspired. Like, you would think that I'm in the huddle with him when he's in the huddle. You would think that, because, like, I'm in this thing, like, but we have so much fun. Like, sports are such a powerful force. Music is a powerful force, so it's such a blessing to have sports and music in our household. but I do enjoy like the joy that we get, even, you know, like I say, the highs and the lows, getting ready for each Sunday, or if it's a Monday night or a Thursday night, you know, the drum up in our household with the kids, like also being excited and being able, it's just a whole, like, it's a blessing.
I was about to say, like, tell us what's the vibe of the house on game day? Like, what are we doing?
Okay, game day. Okay, so Russ is a creature of habit. Okay, so he's like very consistent. So it's very routine. You know, he does his body work, his treatment work, and all that good stuff. And he's in his peace then. And typically when he does it, I'm with him. Okay. So mommy's like, okay, kids, like, I'll be right back. Like, but I gotta be there, like, in that zen moment. And then he goes through his motion to prepare for the game. And then the kids are definitely upstairs running around like chaos, turned up, excited, you know. It's not that serious for them at this age. Although I will say Future is getting more serious. He's also into sports too. Okay. So he can feel a little bit of the journey too. Sienna's like, go daddy, you know.
Get it.
Yeah, and Wynn's like, go daddy. I mean, it's just different levels, right? Yes. But we have that flow, and then he gets ready. He gets ready to roll out the door. We do prayer every time before a game as a family. He goes off to do his thing, and then it's me and the babies. We're getting ourselves together. We ride to the car. We jam out. I'm DJ Mama. The kids are DJs too. They all want to pick their own songs. It's all the good energy rolling up to the stadium, and then we roll into the suite. And then, you know, when you sit down, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, especially being pregnant. The emotional roller coaster is like, oh Lord, I be talking to myself like, I mean, it's just a journey. I'm like, geez, heart, stop pumping so fast sometimes. Like, it's crazy.
I love it though.
Like, it's crazy because you feel, like I said, I'm in the huddle too. I'm out there like, you know,
let's go, boys.
Way. You know, I'm wanting, you know, always the best outcome. So
it's so good.
But it's fun. And after the game, we eat dinner together, you know, or whatnot, and it's pretty chill. It's exciting, but it's pretty chill, right? Because it's super, you know, Russ is really serious about what he does, and I think it's important that we respect that journey, that process for him, you know, on a daily basis. So we try to make sure we kind of, you know, we it's a combination of all that stuff.
I love it,
but it's fun.
I'm thinking of you saying you're also in the car with your babies. I'm like, do you play them your music? Do they know mom's music?
Okay, when it's new.
Okay.
But I don't like playing my music back to me. I just feel like
I get it.
That's kind of weird sometimes.
Do you think?
But I'm not gonna lie to you.
Oh, tell me.
When I have a song that I really love, I might listen to myself a little bit, you know, just a little bit. You know, and my kids, they may pick my songs. Like when I put up Level Up, they love that song. I'm not saying because it's my record, but I really love my song How We Roll. That's my jam, and I ain't gonna lie, I put it on the other day and played it back about 7 times. I'm like, this song just feels so good. Like, it's me to, you know.
But also same with like Loki and BRB. I was like, okay,
hey,
like it's a vibe, and I wonder if Russell plays it in the car for the kids while you're not there. He's like, guys, this is mommy.
He will. You know, he's really big on like, guys, you gotta listen to mommy's music. He will make sure they know my music or hear it and listen to it, but he'll definitely make sure the kids, like, you know, support mommy, which is sweet. Like, I think one day it was like the kids were having to pick between one song or the other. I don't even know what the songs were, but one of them was mine and one wasn't, and he was like, you better pick your mom's song. You know, so
like, let's keep it real. We know who we support in this family.
Let's make sure we, you know.
I love it.
Yeah,
it's really cute to eat, because I'm sitting here and I'm like, you've won a Grammy, he's won a Super Bowl. Like, you guys are the ultimate power couple, and I think a lot of people look at you guys and envy you, obviously, and it's like, whoa, their life is so amazing. Like, when you do go through the hard moments, like, how do you guys level set each other? Like, what is the process of keeping each other grounded and keeping each other, like...
Being able to be honest and communicate, I think, has been game changing for us. And even when it's ugly, sometimes it's gotta get a little ugly. Like I said, get a little ugly before we get to the pretty. But I just think there's nothing better for me than knowing like I was able to say what I felt fully and he heard me.
Yeah. And don't you like it too?
And vice versa.
It's different in that type of relationship where, you know, like, you're both trying to come back together, and like you both have the same goal. Like, no one's winning. No, we actually just have to hear each other, understand it. Where in other relationships I've had, it's like, oh, this is just an ego thing. Like, I'm never gonna win because you aren't even listening to what I'm saying.
When you say the word toxic, it kind of rings a certain way for me because, like I said to you earlier, I'm like, toxic things can do damage to you. It can be harmful to you.
Yeah.
So the glorifying of things that are harmful to you will never be cool to me. Never be cool. Like never be fly, never be the way of, you know, it's just, that's just not it to me personally. So
you have this great relationship now, knowing the relationships you've had in the past of like, sometimes you got to go through the bad to get to the good, like we said. So it is exciting for, I think, for women listening of like, oh, like even if you're in the trenches right now listening to this and you're not in a healthy relationship or you're not feeling good about yourself or it's an abusive situation, whatever you're in, like you can get out and you can find happiness and you can find what you deserve. But again, patience, like give yourself some grace. It can't happen overnight.
100%.
But it is nice to hear from you of like, it can happen.
It can happen, baby.
Let's talk about your music though, because like I said, we were all jamming to it in the office today. We were just like laughing. We were blasting it. We're like, how creepy if she like rolls up and we're just like screaming your music. But now I'm like, I think you would have liked it. It would have been kind of fun.
I might jump in and dance with you. Hey.
Your EP, CC, I need to understand. Who is Cece? Who is Sierra? Talk to me about the two.
So Cece and Sierra are connected. It's not an alter ego.
Okay.
But there is an energy that comes out when you say Cece. Like I turn my lip up a little bit. She get a little stank with it. I'm from Atlanta, so you know there's a lot of soul in what we do there. And you know, when I came up, it was obviously my nickname, but people would be like, you know, when they say go Cece, go Cece, go Cece, go Cece. Like there's an energy that comes with that. There's a feeling that comes with that, and it's, you know, it's, I would say, I really on this project, I wanted to make sure I had those core elements of what that is, because that's something special for me from a music standpoint. Like when you say go Cece, when you say go Cece, go Cece, go, like there's something about that that's just like it's a little saucy, you know. And so you know, that's kind of it. It's not an alter ego though.
It's just like a little bit more of like
a little more
vibe.
sass.
Like a little sassy vibe.
She got a little more sass to her. Sierra, you know, if you talk to me and I'm in my like Sierra mode, and it depends on the situation, I try to like, you know, like Michelle say, when they go low, you go high. You know, that kind of thing. Cece might snap back a little bit. She might bite back a little bit. Just a little bit.
I love it.
Just a little more, you know.
What do you want people to like feel when they're listening to this music? Like, is there a specific place you envision people listening to it? What's the vibe?
I feel like this music on this project is kind of like that perfect house party energy, where you can like kick back if you want to. It's feel good. It's a sexy record, but it's also if you want to like chill back, people, if you want to roll up on the skates, or roll up literally if you want to, you know, put toast up to it if you want to. My song Two in Love, it's a slower record. That's a moment where I'm trying to remember, it was like one night Russ and I like had a little bit of a disagreement. And I'm like, gosh, like the truth is I'm just too in love, you know.
When I was listening to it, I was like, oh my gosh, like this is like really like all about how in love you are. And I love it. It's
so sweet.
It's so sweet.
Well, you know, it's that feeling on that record where it's like you're upset. Like, you know, I watched this TikTok or something someone was doing, and they were like mad at each other. It's like, this is how couples do when you're mad, like, but you still love each other. And like you slam the car, you let them in the car, but you slam the door hard. Or you like got to give them food, but you open the fridge with attitude and you close the fridge with attitude, like that kind of energy. So like on Two in Love, I'm like, like he always put his arms around me a certain way. And like, if he doesn't do it, I'm like when we're sleeping, I'm like, I feel that. Like, but I mean, I want to be mad too, but I want you to put your arm on me, like, you know, I'm like, it's like all those kind of feelings. So before I put this project out, it's exactly like what I wanted it to be. And there's no better feeling than that. You now being able to do things on your own and figure out what you want to continue to sound like as your career continues to grow and expand. It's just truly, it was such an honor sitting with you today, because like you are such an accomplished woman, and sitting with you and getting any of the wisdom we can get from you today, Sierra, I know I'm taking it in note. I'm like, everyone's writing notes. Like, you're just such an inspiration, and it's really surreal for me to sit down with you today because I'm such a fan. And thank you. And congrats on your baby. Thank you.
So happy you're expanding the family. Maybe we'll see a number 5 at one point.
You sound like Russ. Look, don't get crazy now, okay? Let's just go one baby at a time.
Thank you,
thank
Sierra.
you. I had so much fun, and congratulations to you. You were like killing it. Like, I think there was this new article about you in Forbes, and you know, I mean, keep on doing what you're doing. You're obviously giving a platform for women. You've created a platform for women that is very important and critical, and your personality is incredible. So keep on shining your light.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Cheers. Woo!
Woohoo!
We did it.
Call her daddy.
Woo!